This appears to be the currency of real power. These are the titans of our new age, and appropriately, Tony Blair is interviewing Larry Ellison. Let's get into it.
When you come to government and what government's doing, there are artificial intelligence tools, and some of them I know that Oracle have developed around financial management for government, but also tell us a bit about because you're right at the forefront of this revolution, what it means for what government should do in terms of its digital infrastructure, digital ID, data centers, and so on.
How do you take advantage of these incredible AI models? And the first thing
So basically, right, so Tony Blair, he's actually done it again. He's actually called it a revolution, right? So Tony Blair is actually openly admitted that they're having a revolution, that there is he's used the word revolution, particularly in terms of government. Now, I'm not twisting or bending words here, right? He says that it's a revolution, right? But then this guy goes on to talk about, AI in terms of all this financial management and so forth, right? The AI, which actually is making the significant revelations at the moment, is, for example, with me, right? Now, I'm not trying to make out that I'm better than everyone else at everything or anything like that when it comes to, things like maths and stuff like that. But I know for certain, right, I've made some amazing findings when it comes to, whether the Attorney General is lawfully in place or not, when I don't think that he is, right? Tony Blair put Attorney Generals in place illegally. And then there's you're not allowed to create new privileges of Parliament, right? Yet they created the Senedd Parliament and the Scottish Parliament privileges, and then they gave privileges to judges to determine Parliament matters, right, for elections, and they've given privileges to civilian staff who aren't even elected, who are making determinations over our petitions and blocking them, right? And it says in the petition rules that you can disagree with the government and that you can criticise it, yet we're not being allowed to criticise it, and we're not being actually allowed to disagree with it. In fact, the petitions clerks and teams are totally obstructing us, right? And they're trying to make it into this very ABC kids, children, like nursery school process. And I even think they want to reduce it more so that ideally it can be like Google or YouTube when, you answer questions, In fact, because they think that everyone should, follow the policies or manifesto of the Tories or Labour, that maybe the Labour Party should only have, proposals for legislation, and we should tick a box whether we want it or not, or whether we don't want it, right? We'll choose the questions and we'll choose the answers, and they don't even want you to be able to put any writing or make any claims. In fact, apparently you can't even accuse the government of anything. Yet, it's not in the Ombudsman's jurisdiction, so whose jurisdiction is it in, right? They're trying to actually eliminate all independent voices, all independent challenge, all independent opposition, and they presume that everyone's going to follow red or blue party, A or B, and that because you follow A or B, red or blue party, you can either support red policies or blue policies and vote for them or against them, right? And nothing else. No actually creativity or ingenuity. Actually, no AI. No, intellectual and intuitive superiority, right? Which is what this is all about. This whole revolution they're having is computers to actually govern everything. When it comes to numbers and finance, computers are fine with calculators, but when it comes to challenging the government on reason and meaning, right, the superior challenge comes from superior reason and superior meaning, right, not from simply having information, right? You can have loads of information and you can remember information, but if you cannot reason it, interpret it, understand it and apply it and use it to challenge and argue, right, then you can't win. And that's currently what they're blocking and obstructing. And they're doing it completely illegally. I mean, look at the police in Liverpool the other day. They shut down a guy's political party just for challenging Keir Starmer. It's actually the area of the Advertising Standards Authority is when it comes to political when it comes to advertisements, it's meant to be the Advertising Standards Authority, not the police, right? They're the ones who take legal action. But the Advertising Standards Authority can't take legal action because they say that it's not, they can't. They're not allowed to, right? So why do the police do it? If the Advertising Standards Authority, Guy Parker, cannot take legal action against a certain advert, then how can Rob Carden, right? How can Rob Carden do it from Merseyside Police? It seems that the police seem to be able to bring legal actions when the Advertising Standards Authority can't, right? What puts it under the police's remit if it's not under the Advertising Standards Authority to take legal action, right? This is the thing. And the police now, they're treating everyone as if they're just normal citizens doing normal things, and they don't like having to totally disapply the law when there are certain exempt categories and classes and persons, and they shut down. They basically shut down. It's the most serious crime you can possibly do, right? And then the news came back the other day that apparently that Vaughan Gethering couldn't vote for the Senedd from his car or some story, because apparently you can't vote when you're in your vehicle or something ridiculous like that, right? But is a Senedd even lawful? It's Parliament. It's new Parliament privileges created, giving them new powers which never existed before, right? And they don't even want to debate that. I asked them to debate it whether or not they could create them, and they don't even want. They won't even let me collect signatures on it, and they won't let me share it to the public. This government now, they cannot allow anyone to even raise awareness of or share a challenge and it be official. They don't even want to publish it or show it officially because it's so damaging and detrimental to the government, even by them admitting that the argument exists and the challenge exists. And this is why, what Andrew Bridgen said, the whole all of Parliament's a show. They've taken the political battle out of Parliament so we can't get it in Parliament, and then we're actually now fighting to get it acknowledged. And because everyone's got so many complaints, and because they can't focus, and because they're all sort of panicking on the big picture, and not everyone wants to jump in front of the camera and become, celebrity just because, they're opposed to the government and want to get on with their life, we can't actually get our voices heard, and we're actually being blocked and obstructed illegally now. There's so many things that the government have done actually wrong and unlawfully that it's actually ridiculous now, and then all of the illegal prosecutions against people as well, that it's just actually ridiculous. And it is a revolution. It's a revolution of Parliament, and the MPs are all under these strict policy rules, which there's no law to substantiate them. An MP from another area won't even talk or engage to you unless you give your postcode for their area, but they're engaging with everyone from all around the country on their social media. So you're getting surgery, you're effectively getting questions and answers and contact on social media, but not through the surgery. And then they're going on TV shows all over the country and talking. So they're not even following the rules. And when you ask them, where are these rules for surgery, they haven't got any. They can't show you. I don't find them in standing orders. I asked the staff, where's this rule? Where is this rule written down? Oh, well, I can't actually tell you that. But so they're just following orders and commands that come from nowhere. This is how Tony Blair's doing it. There's a revolution going on of parliamentary staff. Now, Andrew Bridgen said, oh, yeah, it's, all of the staff of Parliament are on my side, the cooks, the cleaners, the clerks. I've got Andrew Bridgen video on the main page of my website, but I'm sorry, but he's wrong. A few people might have approached him in the corridors, but the rest of the staff are full on this, right? You've got the team, you've got the civilian team like Sean Harris, and then you've got the clerks, the Scottish clerk of the Scottish Parliament, and you've got Gareth Price in the Senedd. These people are completely undermining the rights and liberties of the realm. And then you've got the committees which are in place of MPs who actually don't actually know the full law properly. They can't even do their own privileges properly. They're that busy that they're not going to sit down and read loads and loads and loads of books and study on it. And a lot of the main professors in history and in politics are actually on their side, because I've read it in the reports when they give evidence. They're kind of in on it, like they're putting innuendos in that, yeah, we're going to go along with this, right? So it's complete. It's absolute fascism. the suppression of opposition illegally, right? Tony Blair started putting attorney generals in completely illegally. It breaks all rules of privilege of parliament of separate houses, right? It's a revolution. And Blair's just admitted that it's a revolution, right? Humans, people, right, have the ability to intelligize, intuit, and reason this. And we're the ones who have been blocked and obstructed because that actually beats them and defeats them. And they're bringing this, they've named this computer technology AI, and they're trying to make out that it's better than humans, that it can work things out better than humans, that, you know, it's just like a calculator. Because a calculator can do maths quicker than a human, then they must be able to do everything better than humans, right? Even reason and intellectualize and argue, which is not the case, right? And it helps Tony Blair and his colleagues to make out that this AI is going to be better at everything, so we don't even need to think and reason, right? Or philosophize. And, you know, computers are not human. Computers don't have feelings, and humans don't have thoughts, right? They definitely don't have feelings, that's for sure, because they ain't got the circuits for them, right? So if something's making you feel unhappy or bad, which the government are doing, the computer doesn't know that. And what the computer is doing when it's copying your behavior, when you're viewing websites and then flashing you like Amazon pictures or objects and shapes and circles, copying what you've been viewing, that actually causes something in the human mind and brain which is called distress, right? Mocking, intimidating, and so forth, right? But not even from a political opponent, actually from a business, a corporate company. And it is actually political because it's saying like, ha, you know, we've chosen you, we've got a spyware on there, we know what you're up to, and it's all over now, right? So Blair is a pure evil man. And I'm not the only person saying this. There are plenty of people saying this. Blair is an evil man, and he deserves, you know, I think, you know, if he was in America, I think he should go on the electric chair. I think Blair should go on the electric chair in America, or lethal injection. He's that evil. Put it this way, right? People who have just basically got angry or mad and done something on the spur of the moment, you know, whether it's ended up in someone getting killed. There are people who are intellectually less evil than Blair who have been on the electric chair, right? There are people who have had the lethal injection who are less evil than Blair. In Blair's mind, Blair is evil, and I can tell you that. And he's trying to pass it off as, oh, yeah, it's convenient. It's not convenient. What he's trying to do is make out that a machine which does not have feelings and thoughts like a human can computate things better than we can and tell us how to live, right? Yet, we're telling them how they're mismanaging Parliament, how they're having misconduct in Parliament, right? And they're blocking and obstructing us on purpose. And while they're doing it illegally, while they're doing it criminally, therefore nothing that they're doing is legitimate at this moment, they're desperately trying to get this digital ID through illegally, while they are prosecuting us illegally, taking people's even political party things like Merseyside Police, while they're obstructing our petitions. It's totally evil, corrupt, and criminal. Nothing they are doing now is legitimate. It's not legitimate. No laws they're passing now are legitimate. If they put digital ID in, it's not legitimate. Nothing since the 2024 general election is legitimate, and likely not since 2005 either, right? Because they're all using social media illegally on foreign platforms with foreign influencers and foreign laws and foreign policy, which is actually taking down many of our political opposition channels illegally. The Speaker of Parliament is not enforcing it. None of the MPs will do anything in surgery to put our material back up, yet what they're doing is, right, as well, they're refusing to speak to anyone who is not from their constituency, right, when you contact them, yet they're using social media to totally bypass that law and spread their message and promo not only to all constituencies around England but the whole world, and have them take comments on their website and reply to them on the website, which is like Rishi Sunak did when he did the TV surgery. They're getting surgery, right, for free. It's like they've got two now. It's like, look, this is my Facebook page, you know, where I can talk to anyone and say what I want. And then this is my surgery office where I can't talk to anyone and say what I want. But now They're both the same because one of them's promoting me and my party and getting my popularity, and the other one, is only in my area. And then the electoral I don't know what the electoral commission are playing at. This is a revolution, right? Tony Blair's right. It's a revolution of the government establishment, and I don't think that the Parliamentary Health Service Ombudsman is going to help us, because, you've got to get it's not like you petition Parliament, you put a complaint, and then the committee calls for evidence, right? If you don't have all your emails together, if you don't organise them all and sort them and send them in, they won't look at it, right? And they're not going to do the research and read the books. They're not going to read the committee reports. They're not going to fully understand the subject before they investigate it, right? They're not going to read parliamentary journals, reports, and so forth to actually learn what the law is meant to be in order to understand how the government is breaking the law, right? They're not going to do that. Parliamentary Ombudsman is not going to do that, right? And we need to do it. And we need to do it by petition, but we're being obstructed, and hardly anyone wants to do paper ones now because they're telling people not to go out door to door, knock on doors, talk to people, don't talk to strangers, right? So, and then all the ones they're rejecting on the website, even if they show you it, they don't show you all of them. The ones that they do show, they're putting false reasons, false excuses, lies, and then people read it and say, oh, we must not be able to do this because they say, right? So then people think they can't do it. So what they're doing, that's propaganda. They're putting propaganda out to lie and mislead the public on what they can and can't do. So then no one challenges Parliament, no one disagrees with Parliament, and no one criticises it. That e-petitions team is hell, right? Sean Harris is Satan's slave. Gareth Price is a demon. He's Satan's slave from hell. And Tony Blair is the devil, right? These people are in a revolution against common sense, reason, and intelligence. They're insulting intelligent individuals, right? Clever people who have actually got an intelligence and an AI, and in order to beat them and defeat them, they've introduced these computational machines, and they've named it AI, like we're an A and you're crap, you're a B, C, or D, you're shit. And this is the intelligence. This can work everything out. So therefore, we don't need you to think about anything. So go away unless you want to tick a box and support our policies, right? It's absolutely evil and totally scandalous. Nothing that this government is doing now is legitimate, and I swear that on oath as evidence, right, to God, that they are lying. They're lying when they say they can't understand what you're writing in those petitions, because they replied and made a different suggestion to how to write it. So they must have understood it. Or they couldn't have actually, they concurred that they knew you were talking about and then told you to write it a different way, which is asking you to change a personal statement and asking you to change your personal prayers, right? That's evil. The devil gets you to change your prayers and pray for something else, right? Not salvation from the devil. The devil gets you to change your prayers and statement. There is no legal process in this country under the observation of due process and law where any judge or Crown prosecutor or police officer can make you change your personal statement, right? Now, Parliament used to summarise petitions in different words, but they didn't change your original statement, and now they're even rejecting original statements, right? That team is from the flames and depths of hell, right? I condemn that team. They are the evilest evil that has ever existed in this country. They are the devil's champions, and they are breaking the law, and they are using propaganda in Tony Blair's revolution that Keir Starmer is leading, and God will win. God will beat them because they are lying, and I am telling the truth.